So my question is, I'm in the TV club at my school, and I was really interested in taking a position as head writer. And one of the things I was interested in taking that position was finding a way to implement and get writers, interested writers, to collaborate and create scripts and jokes for like a full show. So with that being said, I was wondering, my question was, what's the collaboration process among the writing team, if there is one? And how do you put jokes and scripts together with like a large group of people? Because I'm really curious about how to be able to do that.
Good question for you, Shubin.
Yeah, with us, there's the initial steps are collaborative. When we gather around to talk about what we want the story to be, like the headline, which is usually what we call each specific act in the show, the initial coming up with like the angle that we have, any like major comedic bit we have, and just any like riffing jokes we come up with, just like room riffing, all happens first. And then once we have a sense of what we want the point of the story to be, what are the major beats we want it to be, and what the funniest jokes are that people are coming up with, the writers will separate out, and usually two of them will go and write up a separate draft of that story. And then when they come back to me with those scripts, me and the executive producers will take them and sort of with these new drafts figure out what we want the story to go, what of those jokes we wanted, what of the takes they came up with on their own that are even better than the ones we come up in the room, and then we'll send it to them to go write a second draft together. So I think in those writing processes, you want initial sort of large initial freedom of thought and takes, but as the writers, once you kind of like begin to get like once the shape of it begins to have a little bit of rigidity, you definitely want the writers to, at least in my opinion, go and work through some thoughts themselves and add their own particular voices to it. So I think having a mix of like everyone in the room and also everyone separating out and coming up with their own stuff helps out in whatever way you want to do it. Having that mix is important, I think.
Okay.
Do you guys have anything?
Yeah, we have a very similar process at Nightly Show, except for when we're in the, people come and bring ideas. So, we'll get the email from our researchers to say, like, here are some top stories, here are some things that Larry's really interested in. And then we'll come in and we'll pitch ideas based on those stories. And then maybe two people have a similar take, or two people really are vibing on something. And our head writer will say, well, do the two of you guys want to work on this, or do you want to work on it separately? And then we kind of decide. And then throughout the day, you might get an email from someone that says, oh, I saw this really funny thing that might work for the take that you're writing, or this might be like the right thing. And then, that's a sign so that we can kind of lay out the format of the show.
Did you have the same experience?
No, actually, on the Tonight Show or Late Show or a show like that, there's very little group writing, which I think surprises a lot of people. Most of the writing is writers sitting alone in their offices, coming up with their own ideas. If it's an idea like a commercial parody that where you'd write a script, the writer will write the script, or the writer will go into other writer's office and say, I have this idea, you want to work with me on it. But there are very few times when the whole writing staff or most of the writing staff is sitting around a table pitching jokes.